Hello friends, and welcome back to my big GATO Class Submarine build. This is the large-scale version of the Revell kit that we're building, and this is turning out to be a really interesting kit. And I haven't got as much done yet as I wanted to, but I've just been really busy. But that's okay, because like I said originally, this kit's going to take me some time, and that's okay. That's why I'm splitting it up over many episodes. So if you haven't checked out the initial video in episode 1 and 2, I'll leave a link to the playlist up here somewhere so you can go check that out. So here's what we've got done so far. I finished sanding down the seam lines on the hull, and I think that's going to look okay now. I haven't painted it yet, and the reason is because I did prime the bow. Now, I got this assembled last episode, and I got my seam lines sanded down pretty well. I see there's a couple spots here I need to touch up, but I wanted to get it shot in primer because I want to kind of experiment on how I'm going to do the final paint job on it. I decided to go with a black primer, and then I'm going to mask off my waterline here, and then I will play around with how I'm going to paint the gray, the light gray for the upper part of the bow here. I think with the base being black, I won't have to pre-shade it, and I can just layer different shades of gray until I get to that top light color gray that I want. And then for the black part, again, since it's already flat black, I'll just use different shades of gray to highlight the individual panels and then slowly build up to a nice, realistic looking finish. The reason why I wanted to just start on the bow first and I haven't primed the hull is because if I prime the hull and I don't like it, it's going to be really hard to get that primer off and start over. At least with the bow here, I could fairly easily get all this paint off and start over if I had to. Hopefully I won't, but we will see. So this primer needs to really dry before I can get started on the next step of the painting. But I think what I also need to do, maybe we can get to it on this episode, is I need to build the bow planes and get them set inside the hull. Now, I think I'm going to hold off installing these until after I get the initial paint kind of done on the bow itself, because these are a lot smaller, even though they're still pretty good size. These are a lot smaller, and I'll be able to detail them up separately and then get them installed. I would like to get the aft section built, so I can also be ready to get that in prime and do some detailing on that. And there's also quite a bit of assembly that's going to go on for the propeller guard assemblies on the aft section as well. But according to the information I've gathered, all of this is basically going to be the black color. So once I figure out how I'm going to paint the main hull portion, the black portion, how I want that to come out, then I'll go ahead and get this part primed, and then I can do my detailing on it. And at that point, I'll probably also prime the entire main hull in whichever way I decide to end up doing it. It'll probably be all in black primer, because I think the layering technique will work for bringing out the highlights in the hull and make it look fairly realistic. At least that's what we're hoping for. The only thing on here I think I'm going to hold off on installing will probably be the props. I know in the instructions, the color call out for the props are gloss black, but for some reason, I just feel like they're going to get lost on the model. And I just have this, I really like seeing the brass colored props on ships and stuff. So I may just do my own version and paint the props in a brass color. And I think it'll pop out a little more and give it some added detail to look at when the ship is complete. All right, so I'm going to start getting into some more building here, and we'll see how far we get in this episode. So I'm working on the parts for the aft planes, and I don't know if you can see this, but Revell has stamped their little information on here. So I'm going to sand that off, and because I don't want that to be seen on the final kit. So we're going to sand that off. Okay, so that came out really good. All of their little stamping is off of there, and I also sanded down a couple other parts and some little seam lines around the blades there, so they're nice and flush. All right, let's move on. Okay, so we've got the hull assembled and glued together, and our prop shafts installed, and those are drying right now. So I will say this assembly back here was a little tricky. Didn't want to fit exactly right, so it took some finagling and some trimming to get it just right, but it did finally go together. And I've got some filling to do on my seams here. It's not as nicely fitting as the bow was, but I'll be able to clean that up. I actually think this is a good place to stop for now. I want to let this set up and dry really well, and then I will do some filling and sanding and get that all looking nice. And then once that's done, my next step is going to be building and installing the propeller guard assemblies, which are these right here. And it looks like they're pretty well located, and the locating pins are pretty good size, so I'm not too worried about that. They just need to be at a 90-degree angle, and it looks like I should be able to do that no problem. One thing I did notice on my props, and I was worried about this, they're a little warped, but once I got them glued in, I was able to get them moved around so you really can't see the warpage on the shaft. So they look pretty straight, and I'm pretty happy with it. Once again, I'll have to do some sanding and filling in here, but for the most part, that looks pretty good. So it kind of looks like the back of an airplane from this angle with the rudder up here. But yeah, the rear torpedo tubes look really cool. There's some nice detail in there. And yeah, this is getting exciting. So I think this is where I'm going to stop for today's episode. And then we will pick up on the next episode. I'll have an update for you on where I'm at. I'm really hoping I can get some painting done on this part. I really want to get this masked and try out some techniques on layering and get it looking really good. Once I practice on this, then I'll move on to this and then the rest of the hull. So, all right, well, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this little series of mine. If you are, please remember to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button down below and click the little bell so you get notified when I upload another video. So until next time, friends, everyone just be safe out there and go build something.